Monday, March 17th, market analysis, Stan Ehrlich. Good morning. Well, we have a rally, not particularly very strong yet, but it started out after the oversold condition and the loss of downside momentum, basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last week, and in some cases touching a support area. So a couple of my favorites, oversold and in support, succeeded in turning the market with a strong close on Friday, and we do have some modest follow through to the upside today. Now, you know that my upside objective is approximately the resistance area of 57.93, maybe up to the beginning of the breakout of the double or triple top formation, which has still a downside objective of around 5,500, which has not been reached, and only support and oversold stopped the break for the moment. I still expect that to be reached, maybe a couple of 3 weeks from now or something, maybe a little longer. In the meantime, we're going to rally up, I believe, to 57.90-ish to approximately 58.60-ish in that area. And then I think the rally will end and will turn down. Now we're going to look at the usual 1 minute here, and sort of like a downward slanting channel for a lot of the morning session, which normally is a bullish pattern when it finally breaks out. And it looks like it's trying to in the last half an hour or so. The spider oversold, but it didn't reach its support level like the E-mini did, or the micro E-mini, which is the exact same thing. They're just a smaller contract, same numbers, same time when they're open, etc. So, and a heck of a lot larger margin for the ES compared to the MES, micro E-mini. Anyway, I still think we're going to get up for the SPY to 575 and maybe a little bit shy of that. The downside objective still stands, and that's at about 540. Well, I'll call it 544. Easy number to remember. And the 1 minute, still this downward slanting pattern and starting to dribble off a little bit here. QQQ didn't reach its objective, got oversold, started to bounce on Friday, and at the moment we're down slightly on the day, so it's not particularly cooperating, and it's kind of stuck at the moment, it looks like, in this support and resistance zone. We went below the bottom of it, couldn't quite get to my objective, which is 458 and a half. Oversold, so we've got a bounce, which I think is going to reach at least, well, that's awfully close, 484.80. Nah, that's easy. I'm going to say up to 499. We could call it 500 exactly, or slightly under, a couple of points under. And the QQQ 1 minute, not much to go by, a little bit of a downward slanting since the opening. Oversold in support for the NASDAQ futures. Did not reach my minimum objective, although it came the closest of any of the indexes and didn't have far to go. So I think it's still going to do it. 19,222 would be my downside objective, give or take a little. On the upside, where is it going to go? It might not get as strong as quick as the others that I've been mentioning. There's some resistance above the market, starting at about 2354 to a little bit higher, 2447. But the original breakout level is not out of the question for a rally all the way up to 2904. But one way or the other, I don't think this rally is going to go too far or last too long. And I certainly don't expect at this particular point that it's going to be able to make a new high for the whole trend, historic highs. I'm not looking for that right now. Later, months from now. Next, the 1 minute NQ. Yeah, you got a little bit of that downward slanting pattern. Not very good. Now for the YM, we got halfway down to my objective, which is 38,680, let's call it. 38,700. Okay, that's good enough. but there's support a little bit above that, but we're nowhere near that for the moment. We did get into that slightly higher support area in oversold condition. Again, one of my favorite combinations, and starting to bounce on Thursday, up on Friday, and a little bit more today, kind of leading the way up. Now, here, we're very close to the resistance. So although I do easily expect it to get to 42,305, in this particular case, I would accept the market to go up into the resistance area somewhat, because I think the other indexes are going to push it up, so to speak, but maybe it won't. Maybe it'll stall out right here where I'm thinking it should, 42,400, for instance, 42,525 maybe. 1 minute YM chart just made minor new highs a few minutes ago, looking awfully good. Where's my crosshair cursors? Good. So there, looks like it almost made a new high, missed it by a tick or two. So you've got a little sideways with an upward slanting bottom and a flat top. That's a flat top right triangle. It'll break the top. Next, Russell, support touched very accurately in oversold condition, started to bounce on Friday, did okay, and there is some modest follow through today. Again, there is no particular downside objective here because it didn't have the double or triple top. All I can say is it has begun another trading range, maybe between the rock and the hard spot. Major resistance starting at about 2150 and a lot higher. So I'm expecting that at a minimum, and maybe a little bit more. 2190 looks interesting. And the 1 minute Russell. Okay, bonds. Ladies and gentlemen, I had predicted Friday to be the low day. I had predicted the price level to be 115.11, and I came up with these predictions approximately March 5th, about 2 weeks before Thursday's low, which was 1712, and 1 day earlier than I expected. Quick question. If I told you to buy on Friday the 14th without giving you a price, you would be making money because we're above Friday's high. If I told you to buy at 115.11, the price, you would have missed the trade despite, so far, of course, despite the fact that I didn't give you a date. And if I gave you the date and the price, you would have missed. So the most important thing turns out to be the date, because that is working. The actual low was Thursday, 1 day earlier than I expected, and this green circle did get touched. So I am, well, right to a small extent. I wanted to get down to a low on Friday, it was Thursday, and I wanted it to get down to 15.11, but it didn't get that far down. So again, the low was 16 flat, but I had the wrong price. I had the high. The low was 116 flat on Friday, about a half a point higher than I wanted. Pretty close in general, considering I said that would happen 2 weeks ago. All right, so now what do we got? Again, this is potentially the last shoulder low on a head and shoulder bottom starting in November. That doesn't tell the whole story. The bigger picture is a broad double bottom formation of a year and a half. October 23 of 23 was a bullish engulfing ER buy signal smack dab on a huge bottom and the beginning of a huge rally. That's the first low. The second low was also an ER buy signal on the day it happened, of course, turned green, real time. I told you about both of these the day they happened. So, double bottom, maybe. Major upside breakout would take place approximately 127.22. Major upside, long-term upside objective from the double bottom, 146. Just the head and shoulder bottom that I'm looking at right now, that pattern has a breakout around 119.10, And its upside objective for the head and shoulder, which started in November, would be 128, almost 129, not quite, a few ticks short. I call it 129, close enough. Now, it has to go up from here. You can't go sideways too much, it ruins the pattern. You sure as heck are not supposed to go down much. I could be a little early on my low shoulder in case it all of a sudden drops down into the green circle. Then I'm still in the time frame I thought, but it's slightly late. That's not abnormal. Timing on these things is not exact. You're probably within 5 or 10% of the timing you expect would be good. And that means I got maybe another few more days, apparently until the 20th. Yeah, that's the outside of my circle. And of course, the same price goes at 115.11. All right, so I'm on the way up, I think. And this could be the last shoulder low last week for a heck of a long-term major investor style trade, position, investment. Hope I'm not violating any rules by using those words. Remember, I don't have any licenses anymore. I used to be a stockbroker, used to be a commodity broker, had those licenses, a hedge fund manager, but not anymore, just retired. Here we go. July soybeans. Notes. Same timing, higher price levels, little double bottom, higher on the day at the moment. It could have a bullish engulfing if we made higher highs than yesterday's highs, Friday's highs, but we haven't done that. And if it does, it'll be a little more encouraging that we've got the low for the shoulder. Next chart, crude oil. Well, it made a minor new high, but it sure as heck isn't holding very well. The trend lately, January, February, and now the first half of March is down. A lot of support below the market, and I think it might try to come down one more time to that support area and turn back up. But there might have been a bottom here. I really can't tell very accurately, so I'm not going to come up with any strong opinion on the crude oil at the moment. Sorry. Heating oil, kind of the same thing. Now we're stopping on the way up at resistance. Old support becomes new resistance and vice versa. So the high today is right smack at that new resistance area. And now we're only in the middle of the range of the day, but we are up some. It was only Friday that it hit the lowest low for the trend, so this is not impressive at all so far. It looks like it should still stay bearish, frankly, and we might get oversold again. Not real sure about it. Natural gas in a wide range of support in the middle doesn't help me much one way or the other. It did have a classic blow off top way in a new high ground, but the close was below previous highs and it had gapped up that day. There's your upside exhaustion gap, blow off top of a type of activity, and a failure to stay a new high ground. Down a little the next day, down a lot the day after that, which was last Wednesday, Thursday unchanged, Friday unchanged, and today basically unchanged as well. I think we've got a little lower to go, but I'm not very confident about that comment. Gold, overbought second day in a row. Doji, inside day, up a little on the day. Should have a little more of a downside correction. Very bare minimum 29.73, but I would not be surprised if it came all the way back to, say, 28.84 or maybe even closer to 28.53. I'm bullish, but we overbought, so we deserve a little downside dip. We were overbought in silver, deserves a little downside dip to support. But silver has a different story here. If this comes true, we are in the beginning process, or maybe made the last shoulder high on Friday for a relatively large head and shoulder top. First shoulder, May of 24, overbought. The head of the formation, late October of 24, overbought. The last shoulder high may be just this Friday, overbought, down a little, not much. Could be starting a really, really big downside move here. I would love to get a bearish engulfing in the next few days to get a signal. We didn't have any signals on the high day or the shoulder high, unfortunately. But this is the beginning, maybe, of a last shoulder high of a large head and shoulder top. The downside objective would be very substantial at 23.23, way back to the lows that were made of October of 23. Interesting, 23s. So, and the breakout won't even occur until you get somewhere around 30.50. We'll see how this pans out. Next chart, overbought condition, testing support right now. Maybe a few ticks more higher, but slightly. So we could be ready to turn back down. It's high and last right now. Platinum hasn't started to slip, but it's right there at a resistance area. Just got overbought this morning, just a little while ago. Prime territory for it to fail and turn down, but it's not doing that yet. You're premature if you start to go short now. But that's one way you can get close to highs and lows, is to think about, well, it may be premature, but I should have a very small risk. And if I'm right, it'll be a whopping good trade. And next is copper. Not overbought, getting close, new high ground for quite a long time. The last time copper was at these prices was May of last year, so almost a full year ago. I do think it has upside potential still, and it just might get at least up to 5.06. That would be a high that was made on 5/28/24, and I can't rule out all the way up to 5.36, the top of the market, and that was made in overbought conditions on 5/20/24. Watching for the beginning of some sort of high soon, because we're not yet overbought, but close. Yep. If you're long, I'd stay long, but maybe raise your stop a little bit. If you're not long, I would feel poorly about buying it at these conditions, under these conditions. If you're short, well, you're too early. If you want to go short, keep your eyeballs on this real closely, because it could give you what you want soon. Soybeans, oil, meal, corn, wheat. Yay! Minor new high for a few days in soybeans. Remember, I'm trying to justify a very long-term major bottom in the grain complex overall. And in the last couple of weeks, it did hold its support. It did hold at a previous bear trend line twice. And we're starting to make a little bit of upside progress, today's high being higher than the last few days. Momentarily, it's down a few ticks. Soybean oil, minor new high for a couple of days, held at support. Not only horizontal price support, but also a bull trend line and an oversold condition. Prime territory, technical conditions for a rally to start. So I think we're going to come up to at least 43.09. We'll see what happens there. It'll probably be too soon for it to stop. And up to the next resistance level, 44.70. But as you get higher over time, and it should happen in a reasonable amount of time, another week or two or three, not super fast in a day or two or three, but coming up the usual method. And I don't. If it does go up super fast, that's all right. Also, I just don't expect it to come up super fast. And soybean meal, also trying to make gains on the upside. Right now, a little lower on the day, but it made its lowest low, overbought conditions, back in March, even involving a close at previous lowest lows after making new lows for many, many months. So it's starting to come up. Corn did bottom out March 4th, went up nicely, hit resistance, pulled back and now holding fairly well from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and now today, Monday. So I just need to see follow through to the upside, period. Wheat. Now we're talking a little bit better. This is a new high since February 27th. It made new lows for the whole trend and even closed below previous major lows since the war. That's 3 years. So this is the lowest low since the war, but it's still basically in the ballpark of where it bottomed out a couple, 3 times, 4 times, once, bullish engulfing AR buy signal, twice, 3, 4 before. So looking for more strength. We got a minor upside breakout here. If we can close above 622, then we're cooking with gas. Probably going to break through the major resistance at 650, and that's going to start an upside objective all the way up to 750. But again, some really significant work has to be done. Prices have to hold on minor dips. They have to start making new highs periodically. I would hope once a week, if not more often than that, and keep on going. Next, cattle. Overbought third day, minor new highs, coming close to maybe a double top. You got to watch for that. I think we're close to turning down because of the overbought condition and near a resistance to previous highs. So maybe it's going to go up a little bit more for a day or 2 or 3. But I would be watching very closely for reversals, sell signals, etc., anything you want to find to cause you to be satisfied that your new short sale maybe is going to be a good one. Up to you. Next, hogs. Gapped up a little, not good. Remember, gaps are like a black hole in space. They tend to suck the price action back into the gap. Minor new highs. At the moment, staying up there, which is nice. Big support area, bottomed it out in an oversold condition. So here's the next leg up, probably work its way a little higher, but I won't forget, you shouldn't forget about the little gap here. It may come down to 87 flat. The high was exactly 87.07 and a half. So that closes the gap, but up. And there's an old gap up here. We need to get up to 93.05, give or take a tick or two to close that old gap. I think that's where it's heading. Next, E-mini, hanging in there. Yep, making minor new highs, kind of breaking these bearish lines. I like what I see. I think we got more strength to come in the stock indexes. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.